I sold the Chelsea apartment. I moved out of the city. A friend and I started an audio company called Pushkin Industries. I got a cat and named him Biggie Smalls. You know the feeling of looking at a picture of yourself from long ago? When I do that, I have difficulty recognizing the person in the photograph. And so, I thought it might be interesting to revisit the tipping point on the occasion of its 25th birthday, to re-examine what I wrote so long ago through a very different set of eyes. In The Tipping Point 2.0, a writer would return to the scene of his first youthful success. But then, as I immersed myself once again in the world of social epidemics, I realized that I didn't want to return to the same ground I had covered in The Tipping Point. The world seemed too different to my eyes. In The Tipping Point, I introduced a series of principles to help us make sense of the kinds of sudden shifts in behavior and belief that make up our world. I still consider those ideas useful, but now I have different questions, and I find that I still do not understand many things about social epidemics. When I sat down to reread The Tipping Point in preparation for this project, I found myself stopping every few pages to ask, what about this? How could I have left that out? In some far corner of my mind, I discovered I had never stopped arguing with myself about how best to explain and understand tipping points and their many mysteries. And so I began again with a fresh sheet of paper. And the revenge of The Tipping Point is the result. A new set of theories, stories, and arguments about the strange pathways that ideas and behavior follow through our world. Introduction. The passive voice has also been associated. 1.
I'd like to ask you one final question, and I'd like to begin with you, Dr. Will you apologize to the American people?
A group of politicians has called a hearing to discuss an epidemic. 3 witnesses have been subpoenaed. It's the height of the pandemic. The meeting is virtual. Everyone is at home, in front of bookcases and kitchen cabinets. We're an hour into the proceedings. I'm leaving out all the identifying details for the moment because I want to focus exclusively on what was said, the words that were used, and the intentions behind them.
I would be happy to apologize to the American people for all of the pain they've suffered and for the tragedies that they've experienced in their families. And I thought I did that earlier in my opening comments. That was my intention.
Witness number 1 is in her 70s, short, white hair, dressed in black. At the beginning, she seemed to struggle with how to work the mute button. She still seems flustered. She isn't used to this. She comes from a world of privilege. Being confronted over her own behavior is clearly not something that has happened in her life with any frequency. Her fashionable glasses look like they might slide off the end of her nose.
I also am very angry. I'm angry that some people working at broke the law. I'm angry about it from 2007, and I'm angry about it now, again, in 2020. I think that...
I know you're angry, and I'm sorry, but that's not the apology we were looking for. You apologize for the pain people have suffered, but you've never apologized for the role that you played in the crisis. So I'll ask you again, will you apologize for the role you played?
I have struggled with that question. I have asked myself over many years. I have tried to figure out, is there anything that I could have done differently, knowing what I knew then, not what I know now? And I have to say, there is nothing that I can find that I would have done differently based on what I believed and understood then and what I learned from management in the report.